Retro game collecting doesn't necessarily need to be expensive, as I'm here to prove today as we count down 10 more retro video games under £10 you need for your collection.
Game Pickups! Video Game Transfer! Rush Trips! Night Game Cutting!
Hello again folks, and welcome to a very special video, as today we are talking about retro game collecting on a budget. You can buy every game on this list today for under £100 and start your very own retro game collection. Or on this list we have games from every console and every genre, so if you're looking to add a cheap banger to your collection for under £10, this video is for you. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and please subscribe, as I put new videos out every Saturday night at 5, as well as bonus content throughout the week like this one, and I really want you folks along for the ride. Now, onto our list. The first game on our list this time is for the NES, and for this one you may have to work for it. This game, if you can find it in store in CX, is just £10. Now of course it's going to be more than £10 if you have to get this game delivered, but if you own an NES you need this game in your collection. I've only recently discovered this game myself through my challenge to collect my top 40 NES games over the course of 2025, the NES Top 40 at 40, and Little Nemo Dream Master is one of the best NES games I have ever played. I'm so happy I managed to find this hidden gem for just £10. If you are into your platformers, especially 8-bit, this is a game you owe to yourself to track down, and for £10 it's an absolute bargain. Let's keep it 8-bit and move on to the Sega Master System, and this is a game I didn't realise I needed until I was researching this list. Just £10 in store for a CIB Master System game, and this shmup looks absolutely fantastic. Xenon 2 Master Blaster. I'll put some footage up of it now, and this shmup looks brilliant. 8-bit shmups are quite hard to find, especially for cheap, and this looks like a really good one, and it sounds like it has an amazing soundtrack. And for £10 for a CIB Master System game, everyone needs it for the Master System collection. On to the SNES, and unfortunately it is very difficult to find a CIB SNES game under £10 in 2025, let alone a good SNES game. But for under £10 in CEX you can pick up one of the greatest fighting games of all time, and also one of the greatest 16-bit games of all time, Street Fighter 2 Turbo Edition. This is one of the most iconic fighting games ever made. It has incredible 16-bit graphics and an incredible 16-bit soundtrack, and is one of the greatest multiplayer games ever made. And for £10 you owe it to yourself to have this in your SNES collection. Moving on to the Sega Mega Drive, and while Street Fighter 2 Turbo may be one of the most iconic games released for the SNES, this is undoubtedly one of the most iconic games released for the Sega Mega Drive, Altered Beast. And you can get a CIB copy of this game today in store at CEX for just £10. This is a side-scrolling 16-bit banger. It is one of the most meme-worthy, quote-worthy 16-bit games of all time, and it is such a cultural bomb from the 16-bit era. Rise from your grave and pick up Altered Beast. Much like the SNES, it is hard to find a CIB N64 game for under £10 that I would recommend everyone needs for their collection. But this may come as somewhat of a surprise. You can pick up for £10 a Pokemon game. Pokemon Snap for the N64. Now, you will not be fighting Pokemon, you'll not be capturing Pokemon in Pokeballs, you'll be capturing Pokemon in photographs. This is a very different Pokemon game, but a really fun departure from the standard Pokemon formula. And I cannot believe that you can walk into CX and pick up a copy of this game for just £10. So head to your local CX store and hopefully you can catch them all. We're on to the first CD-based games on this list with the Sega Saturn. And the Sega Saturn back in the day was one of the best ways to experience the arcades at home. And at this point, Sega was the king of the arcades. And this is a twofer. You can get not one, but two of the greatest arcade fighting games of all time, CIB for the Sega Saturn from CEX for just £8 each. And you can take your pick between Virtua Fighter or Virtua Fighter 2. I actually managed to find a pretty minty copy of Virtua Fighter quite recently in a CEX store, and this is a fairly common game. And it is one of the greatest arcade fighting games of all time. So the question is, for £8, will you be picking up Virtua Fighter or Virtua Fighter 2? Or why not just grab both? The GameCube was the first Nintendo console to use CD technology as such. Being Nintendo, of course, they had to keep it slightly weird and use tiny CDs. But it may come as a surprise that in 2025, you can get a first-party Nintendo GameCube title for under £10. For £8, you can get this game CIB. Of course, you will have to hunt in store or play the roulette to get a copy with the manual. And this, for me, is a hidden gem. 1080 Avalanche. So many people talk about 1080 snowboarding and regard it as one of the greatest snowboarding games of all time. But for me, 1080 Avalanche took everything which made the first game great and improved upon it in every single way. It is a game that not enough people have played, and one you definitely owe to yourself to check out if you own a GameCube. And for just £8, what's your excuse? How much fun does £10 buy you in 2025? And stop smirking. What if I was to tell you you could play a 40+ hour RPG for the PlayStation 1 for under £10? Well, you can, with a slight caveat, with Final Fantasy VIII. One of the greatest stories ever told, from one of the greatest RPGs, from one of the greatest franchises ever. CIB for the PS1 in 2025 for £10. This is an absolute bargain, and this is one of the greatest stories ever told, and a game which you owe it to yourself to play at least once in your lifetime. But like I said, this one has a slight caveat. In order to get this game for £10, you will have to pick up the platinum version of this game. Yes, I know that is a scary thought for a lot of people, but for £8 cheaper than the black label version of this game, you can get one of the greatest RPGs ever released for £10 CIB for your PS1 collection. And surely that's worth having a little bit of silver on your shelves for. Next up, we're talking about the Sega Dreamcast, and more specifically the fact for £10 or under you can pick up a CIB copy of Quake 3 Arena. Now you may be wondering, Dan, why are you recommending a game which is primarily online? Yes, this game does have a single player portion, but it blew my mind while researching this video that it is still theoretically possible to play Dreamcast Online in 2025. There are people running servers for Quake 3 Arena still in 2025. Yes, it is a bit of a workaround to be able to play the Dreamcast online, but it's something I'm definitely interested myself in trying to do. I will let you do your own research on how to do this, but it remains you can play with a keyboard and mouse, sold separately, Quake 3 Arena online for the Dreamcast in 2025. And for £10, that fact, quite simply, blows my mind. Which brings us to the final game on our list this time, and this is somewhat of a wild card. This is for a system I've only recently started collecting CIB in box 4, the Sega Game Gear. Now, unfortunately, this game comes without manual, but if you're lucky, you can get a copy of Sonic 2 box, no manual, for the Sega Game Gear in CEX. But this is definitely going to be a case of fastest finger first, because as of time of recording this video, this is out of stock. But set a stock alert, and who knows, maybe if you're quick enough, for £10 you'll be able to get a boxed Game Gear game from CEX. There we have it then, folks. That was 10 more retro games under £10 that everyone needs in their collection. But let me know in the comments down below which of these games you'll be picking up, whether to add to your collection or to start a collection for under £100 in 2025. I really hope this helps you build your retro gaming collection and proves once and for all game collecting doesn't necessarily need to be expensive. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe, and as always, keep playing the game. See you soon.